Hello. All right. The second live event is upon us, 25 days away, February 2nd. And we're starting to talk about this a little bit more in the office and people asking questions. And so I just wanted to drop in, talk a little bit, Tiff just goes deep all the time. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what I feel like success is, what transformation is, and what's necessary and what's needed. I was listening to a training this morning and a question was asked. What is the deep work? Like, they asked the leader of this group, like, what do you consider the deep work? And I think this response was profound and interesting, that I feel the same way, and I see it on the table. I see it in every client that I work with. The deep work is the emotional work primarily. Yeah, it's the spiritual work some, but in order to do the spiritual work, we got to be able to do the emotional work. And when I was looking at what I wanted to create for the next live event, the word wildfire came through loud and clear. I get a lot of messages when I'm getting massages, and it came through there, and I got up, and sometimes it's kind of like when you have a dream and get up and you don't realize anything happened. I got to my car, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's wildfire. And so I started digging into, like, what is a wildfire actually? Well, a wildfire is equal parts of destruction and renewal. Destruction first, then renewal. How many times? It's 2024. Look at social media. Everyone says this is going to be the best year yet. But what are you going to have to go through to have it be the best year yet? Where are you going to fall flat on your face? Where are you going to break down? Where are you going to buckle? Because that is required first. Destruction happens before and or while we have renewal. Before and while we have transformation. And so I started thinking about what I want this event to be. And truly, I would say it's just the essence of my life. That in order to be able to see the impossible goal or vision, the 10x, the, oh my gosh, what would be crazy, ... that requires destruction. It requires shadow. It requires all the things that we sometimes avoid. And so I started thinking about the people that are doing the big things. And when I say doing the big things, I don't mean the big things. I mean living a life they're really fucking proud of. Living in a way that is totally aligned, and not just in your work, but how about your home? How about your marriage? How about your relationship with your kids? How about abundance? How about kindness? And when we start looking at life through that lens, we start to see a big gap. That the people that are looking for what does the impossible even look like? What does the big crazy dream look like? They are acting and living from a place of future self. So many times it's easy to live your life from your past. And most people that I know that I've mentored and coached and adjusted patients and clients, it's the first thing we do is reframe the past. To identify where we were and how to be so grateful for what that looks like, but reframing it in a way that it can be our leverage point to be able to 10x, to be able to create the impossible goal or dream or life or marriage or business or health or whatever it is that you want. But I also feel like it isn't just one thing, it's all the things all the time. No, we don't need to be perfect in all the things all the time, but it is all the things all the time. So when you start to lead a life from future self, from soul path, from God's voice, from higher power, and you start to see yourself differently from that lens, you now are pulled in a way that is away from what you knew your past to be. Wildfire, that event, is really all about that. How can we reframe parts of the past in order to be our new set point, our new floor, our new leverage, our new takeoff, the new place where the rocket ship fires from? And when we see it from that perspective, we're now pulled. We're guided. We're magnetized towards something much greater. It was quite a few years ago. I was doing a program or a masterclass or something, and typically when I teach, big ahas come through. And I started writing down this, like if you're talking to your best friend, you're talking to your husband, you're talking to somebody, and you're just brainstorming, you're just like, oh my gosh, can you just imagine if da da da? Can you imagine what it would feel like, and what would it look like, and what if we lived, and what all these things. And then I started thinking about my typical words would be, well, what would be crazy? And so I started writing down my list. My crazy list, I call it. But what would be crazy if ... Wildfire is about that. It's about bringing you into a place that we get to create a vision that you maybe have never seen before. A vision for you. A vision for all parts of your life. Not just one. Not just where you're going and what you're reaching for and what you're striving for, but like, how do you actually want to live? And how do you want others to live around you and with you? And how do you want to love? And what do you want to be known for? What do you want to matter? Like the big stuff. The stuff that I feel like in the hamster wheel of life we forget. And so when I say that we're either living from our past, our yesterday, our regrets, our guilt, our shame, our whatever already happened, or we're living from our future self. We're living from our soul path. We're living from our God calling. We're living from... That is very, very, very different, and is what I consider the reason why the most aligned people are where they are. Because there is a level of emotional healing that has happened that has not happened in the majority of people, because you have to have that first. Destruction, then renewal. Think of a wildfire. Destruction, then renewal. If we're so afraid of destruction, if we're so afraid of making a mistake, if we're so afraid of being perfect and not living up to the expectation, we will never have renewal. And so when we want a better year, whatever 2024 looks like, this is my year. Oh, what are you going to do about it? Where are you going to go? What are you going to deem is impossible? And how are you going to actually do it? Will you? Will you truly commit to something to the point of no return so that your results are different? Wildfire, yes, it's the name of an event on February 2nd, but it's really what I stand for, and it's what I facilitate in people. I facilitate the invitation to destruct, to break, to crumble. Because then, watch out, world, man. Because only then you have a new level of trust in yourself. You have a new level of courage in yourself. You have a new commitment. Because to crumble, to break, it requires you to commit to something to the point of no return, so that you know the only way up is absolute evolution and growth. And when you commit to that, we start to live differently. So, wildfire. We get to explore this whole premise. But more importantly, it isn't about listening, the day isn't about listening to me talk. It isn't about being inspired. It isn't about you leaving and feeling motivated now to like achieve the thing that you want to achieve. It's a level of knowing that you maybe, just kidding, that you haven't ever had. A level of knowing, a level of trust, a level of vision that only comes in when you open your heart, only comes in when you're quiet, and comes in more and more when you begin to trust and have courage in who you are. So, that's wildfire. I invite you in. I invite you to explore a little bit about where is it that you could actually take yourself, take your life, take your business, take your marriage, take your relationship with your kids, take your heart, take your purpose. That's all that really matters. Like how big of a life you want to live isn't about what you achieve in the big things as much as it is about who you are. And are you proud of that person? So, I invite you to join me February 2nd, 8:30 to 4. 8:30 to 4. We get to play all day, and you will change. This is what people say in my world. After a day together, it feels like you've changed lifetimes. It's like it doesn't even feel like this morning was this morning. That's what this gets to be. And you get to do it in a room full of people doing the same thing, who want the same thing. That is what I feel like the root of belonging is. Belonging, knowing that you belong in the room. They handle them knowing that they belong in the room. And when that power comes together, it is way more than power now. It starts to function in the frequency of force. Force, as in frequency. That's when transformation happens.